And this is January 26th, part 2 of the extemporaneous speeches at UCLA, where it's a beautiful, sunny day. And we're about to hear an extemp speech from Brenda on the question, should voters reject candidates with no prior political experience for the 2016 election? Wonder who they're talking about. Okay, yes, yeah, I think so. Okay. So, she stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, I'm Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
So, if you didn't know how to swim, would you try to race Michael Phelps in a swimming race? No, right? So, shouldn't the same logic apply to the leader of the free world, President of the United States, right? Today, I want to answer the questions of whether or not voters should reject candidates with no prior political experience for this 2016 election. For those of you who don't know, these candidates are neurosurgeon Ben Carson, former HP CEO Carly Fiorina, and of course Donald Trump. No words. I'll give you 3 reasons today why I think that we should reject these candidates. First, I feel that these candidates approach complex situations with very easy fixes instead of real solutions. Second, I feel that they have some caustic attitudes towards specific demographics in our population in the United States. And lastly, they simply don't have the experience to lead a diverse population like the one we have here in this country. This is important because whoever ends up winning this election is deciding policies that you're going to have to deal with entering the world as a young professional. You're about to finish college, and then this person is the one that's supposed to lead you into your future. They're supposed to make the policies for your kids and your younger siblings. So this is why it's so important for us to really make sure that the candidate we choose is one that will be able to lead us into success instead of, retracting our steps. So the first reason why I feel that we should reject candidates with no prior political experience is because they don't really know how to approach situations with real solutions other than just their easy fixes. For example, Huffington Post covered one of the earlier Republican debates on November 11, 2015. And in this specific debate, Ben Carson was asked what he thought about the foreign policy happening in Iraq in terms of the war on terror. And as we just heard from our past 2 speeches, this is a very, very complex situation. There's a lot of factors going in. And his solution was, we just need to take over this one energy field, he means oil field, in Iraq, and all our problems will be solved. We don't need that much manpower, we just need to take over this one energy field, right? And clearly, this shows me that he knows nothing about foreign policy, and he was laughed at by a lot of his peers simply because everyone knows that there's much more going on in Iraq and the Middle East than just one oil field. He also mentioned that China and Russia were involved in Syria and all of these terrorist attacks, when in reality, there's been no source that has stated that China or Russia has been really involved in these attacks. How can someone who doesn't even know what's going on in our foreign policy be able to lead us into the future? This makes me feel that we should definitely reject this candidate without any political experience. The second reason I want to give you for why we should reject candidates with no experience is because they have caustic attitudes towards specific demographics. We all know and love Donald Trump, and we all are very familiar with some of the statements that he said. According to the Washington Post, Trump has already explicitly said that he favored increased surveillance of Muslim Americans. However, he went on to further say that he wouldn't be opposed to more invasive measures like warrantless searches or faith-based identification tactics. And how can someone be has such a caustic attitude against one of the fastest growing religions in the world? And furthermore, these are Muslim Americans. They aren't just Muslims coming from other countries. They might have been immigrants, and a lot of them are here legally. So how can we trust someone who isn't even going to be able to accept a majority of our population, right? On top of that, on January 18, 2015, CNN reported that the United Kingdom Parliament was actually debating on whether or not they should ban Donald Trump from their country, banning him. How can we possibly be led by someone who isn't even appreciated or acknowledged by other superpowers? That would just make the United States look like a joke, right? And lastly, the last reason I want to give you about why we should reject these candidates is simply because they're not suited to lead such a diverse population. Carly Fiorina bases her campaign on the fact that she was the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, a technology company. However, what she doesn't say, but Fortune does, Fortune magazine, is that she actually got fired from her job as CEO because during her time there, she made poor business decisions that led to no business growth, unhappy investors, and incredible drops in stocks. Actually, the day that she was fired or she resigned, the stocks went up $3 billion in market value. $3 billion. So, with that being said, how can we trust someone who couldn't even lead her own company to lead an entire country, nonetheless, the United States? In summary, I've given you 3 reasons why we should reject candidates with no prior political experience. First, they don't appreciate the policies and they offer simple solutions instead of real solutions. Second, they have caustic attitudes towards certain demographics. And lastly, they just simply aren't fit to lead such a diverse population. Just like how you win a race, Michael Phelps, when you barely got your toes in the water, we shouldn't let someone so inexperienced run our country.
Thank you. 6:03. Where are we? Yes, here.
My name's Tommy.
Hi, Tommy. Great name.
I thought for the good parts of your speech, you were very well informed, and it seems like you knew exactly what you were talking about. You did your research, and I can appreciate that.
Improvement.
Improvement. Hi, I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Improvement. I'm finding that hard because I found you very likable up there. But you might want to be a little bit more. Try not to oversimplify some of your points. The point where you were talking about when we were talking about Ben Carson's foreign policy and China and Russia not having anything to do with the wars in the Middle East. It is kind of confusing because at first it sounded like you talked about them not having any presence there, when I believe Russia's having like some kind of involvement in the airstrikes against ISIL in Syria. And it was kind of confusing, like, are you saying they're with terrorism, they're not with terrorism, they are involved? It was a little kind of murky there. And then with the energy field comments, I really liked that, but I would have liked to hear something like, there are X number or many, many more oil fields, and Ben Carson's worried about one. Which one? You know, how about all of them? And I liked how you did pivot to there's other considerations. But it would have been nice to hear what are those specific considerations in the area. But I mean, overall, I thought you were very, very likable.
Thank you. Okay, Brenda, let's talk about your speech. It was 6 minutes. You had in 15 seconds you could have used. Let me start with one big overarching comment about your presentation, which really stuck out for me. You had a good 5, 6, 7 sources that you consulted, but I didn't hear them cited so much in your presentation. And I hope you heard me say you need to orally refer to where you got your information and cite the date so that we have credibility of your claims. We call that arguments from authority. So it's not just Brenda asserting this, but some other authority is saying it. So remember, everyone, don't make the same mistake that Brenda made. Cite your sources and the date aloud. Okay? Yeah. So, well, this question, gosh, you told us that voters with no prior political experience should be rejected. What we didn't get, and I think was kind of called for, at least some comment about it, is what are the optimal qualifications for president? President Obama never had much experience. He was a senator for a couple of years. And before that, he was an organizer in Chicago, a state senator there, and so forth. And but he's done a pretty darn good job. President Ronald Reagan, had no experience before he became California governor, and by some estimates did a good job running the state and ultimately the country. So whatever side of the aisle you're on, you want to maybe say, is it a governor's experience that we need in the Oval Office? What are those leadership qualities? Truman stepped up from, hardly nowhere and made a pretty darn good president. So I would like you to, at least give me some of your thoughts about what kind of experience would you like?
I thought it was interesting because the question specifically said for the 2016 presidential election.
Right.
So I thought it wanted me to
Which
analyze the candidates,
you did.
Happened to just be the 3 Republicans.
Which you did. Which you did, absolutely right. And on the Democratic side, there are one's a mayor and one's a senator, and of course Hillary Clinton has been everything. So yeah. Okay, on your introduction, you started with a rhetorical question, and you sort of an analogy, and I hope everyone knows who Michael Phelps is. Everyone know who Michael Phelps is? Yeah. Okay. So that was a good allusion. And you tied back to him, so that worked. On your thesis, you chose to isolate Carly, Donald, and Ben. And I like your idea that they, and this is part of why Donald Trump in particular has been successful so far, he has proposed easy fixes without having to explain the details. And the devil is always in the details. Yeah, we'll just put up a wall. Well, how are you going to do that? And we'll just keep out the Muslims. Okay, well, that sounds good. It's a simple sentence, but where do we go from there? So that was pretty good. Easy fixes, problem toward terms of race, and then never led before. So I thought your SIG statement was particularly good. I liked it very much. I would like to see you not hold the card in your hand. You hardly needed it. And so it just hurt your credibility a little bit. So don't use your card next time. So you chose to break down your speech with the 3 candidates and first reject Ben Carson as being ignorant in foreign policy. Among other things. I've watched all the debates, as some of you know. I've commented on different television and radio stations for them. He looks asleep to me on stage sometimes, I swear. He takes him a moment to wake up. It's really very interesting, but it's hard to picture him as leading the country. But he really does seem in over his head. And here you maybe want to pause. Does success as a brain surgeon translate over into success as a president? Maybe, maybe not. Michael Bloomberg is thinking of running for president now, and he claims he has great executive experience like Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's claiming, I'm a great deal maker. I'll go make deals with the Democrats and Republicans, and I'm a great executive, which is what we don't have in this country. So, some people would argue with you that he does have some qualities. I'm getting ahead of the story here, but anyway. So, on your second one, you talked about Donald Trump, and you really wanted to talk about him more in terms of his attitudes toward Muslim Americans and how far he would go in what he's really a demagogue and feeding on the fear of the American people since Paris and San Bernardino and Boston marathons. People are in great fear because of who the perpetrators were in these terrorist events. And he's just playing on that. And so, you're right, though. He's painting with a very broad brush. The debate in the House of Commons was a joke. They don't have the power to ban Donald Trump, but it was embarrassing.
Yeah. I think it's because more than 600,000 people signed the petition.
Right, they had to look at it. They had to talk about it, yeah. On the Carly Fiorina, yes, that was I liked your evidence that the stock went up $3 billion after she resigned. That was quite excellent. Although, if you ever watch her in the debate, she has a very slick answer for all these things that you indicted her for. And but the voters in California rejected her as a senator, and so she hasn't caught on. And as you'll recall, Donald Trump said, "Who wants to look at that face for 4 years?" Which is, and he's really trying to ingratiate himself with women, wasn't he? My God. It's almost like he has Tourette's in a way, it seems to me, that he can't control what comes out of his mouth sometimes. It just comes out. Look at her face. Yeah. Who would say that? Okay. So you made your arguments there, but without evidence, and that's my big worry here. So you summarized, you concluded, and you tied back to our good friend, Mr. Phelps. So that was all well done. You said you wanted to have good vocal inflection, to have good eye contact, and to have good confidence. How'd that go?
I feel in confidence, I feel like I was kind of nervous, especially because I was just nervous.
Okay.
I think in terms of inflection, I think I tried to put some personality in there, and hopefully that kind of showed through. So.
Yeah, I think you did. You are. I agree with the comment that was made. You are a very likable speaker, and that's hard to teach. You are just likable. You're sincere. You're a likable speaker, and don't lose that. That's good. Think about the qualities of stickiness, though, of having a simple message, which you did. Didn't see much unexpected in this speech, which you'll always want to structure in. You definitely fell down in the credibility department because your arguments from authority weren't there, right? And you didn't get too abstract. It was concrete all the way, and that was good. And you had pretty good stories about Donald Trump and Carly and about our friend the surgeon and his fog of foreign policy that he's wading through. So I thought there were some good sticky parts, but more you could do.
Okay.
So overall, you did a nice job. Lose the card and qualify your sources. Thank you. Okay. We're out of time for today, but there's time to give out the midterm. And pack up. So let's pack up. So how do I do this? I stop this. How do I stop this? I go.